gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Light and Hunch with my boy ZZ Huncho, the CEO of GOATs and the man that never missed Light Out Sports. Speaking of me never missing, Z, I mean, I told you, bro. I told you the Bucks were gonna beat the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm gonna double down and say that the Bucks will win the whole thing. They're gonna win the whole thing. I'm letting
You
you.
are delusional.
I'm not delusional. I'm telling you right now that there's no doubt in my mind that the Bucks will win this series. But we'll go into that a little later because this show is not about me today. It's about our special guest. I mean, this guy is running TikTok at the moment. I mean, everybody knows who he is. He is the OG. Welcome to the show, Shilltown Hoops OG. How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing, man? Pleasure to be here. Honored
We're
to be here.
We're doing pretty good, man. Before we even start talking basketball, OG, we want to know, how did this even happen? I mean, what did you do? Did you just pick up the phone and just started doing, or have you been doing this for a while? Like, we want to know your story. How did this happen?
Well, I want to start by saying it's a pleasure to be here, man.
Hey,
There's a lot of guys on here that talk basketball that don't have a clue what they're talking about. So when I actually get an opportunity to talk to somebody that wants to talk basketball with me, that knows what they're talking about, I jump at the opportunity. So
hey, man, that's awesome. Thank
when
you.
my man ZZ hit me, I was like, absolutely, this dude know what he's talking about. So yes, let's definitely get to it. But my best friend, he was visiting his kids and he told me about TikTok. I don't really know much about it at the time. I'm not a Twitter dude. I'm not an Instagram dude. I'm not a social media guy. I'm just, I'm old school, so to speak. So I just started screwing around with it, and there was this one guy on here, Boom, I think that's his name.
Oh, Boom, the sport god.
Yeah, this dude, he got on here, and he was talking. He started the conversation about Jordan had help in the '80s with Orlando Woolridge, and I'm thinking, hold on. I was around during that time, and no, he did not. Those teams were trash. That team that Jordan was, the team he specifically talked about was the year he broke his foot. And I'm immediately thinking to myself, my man, just so you know, that team without Jordan, they're Oklahoma City today. They're Orlando.
Yeah.
What are you talking about that Jordan had to help? And it was bad. If that wasn't bad enough, it was the fact that he called him Woodridge. So I was like, wait a minute. Let's start with who he is first of all. Okay, let's start with that, and then it just snowballed from there. And then I ended up getting a couple of inquiries about questions about basketball, and then I just started answering them. And the next thing I know, I'm somewhat of an item. Like, people want to talk basketball with me. I'm like,
yeah.
What's up? Okay, let's do it.
That's awesome, man.
I came across ZZ's his page, and I'm like, yo, this dude know what he's talking about. So I'm definitely gonna follow him, no doubt.
Yeah, no, man, that is awesome to hear, bro. I mean, that's the best way to start. And we don't worry, we have a history with Boom the Sport God as well. ZZ, you want to explain to OG? He probably doesn't know what's going on.
Oh, well, you brought up Boom, and me and him were kind of like a rivalry, I guess is what you can say. But to me, it was more like you remember how Paul Pierce and LeBron had a rivalry back in the late 2000s, but like it was more Paul Pierce had a rivalry with LeBron and LeBron really didn't reciprocate it. I would be LeBron in this situation because and he would be Pierce, because Pierce would just be saying a lot of stuff that just wasn't true, and LeBron would take the high road. Now Boom would say a lot of stuff that wasn't true, like you just said about Michael Jordan 85 to 100% of the time. So I told him, like, I would stitch his videos and bring in the actual context surrounding it, because and I would get comments from people like, oh, thank God, thank you for saving us or whatever. And then some people would be like, well, you never watched him play live. And then I said, well, okay, so when you're 20, 30 years in the future, if your kid comes home and says LeBron is the GOAT, he can't say that because he never watched LeBron James play live, right? With that logic. I'm the CEO of Logic for the NBA TikTok community half the time. So I would just go back and forth, and I get my knowledge from actually watching the game and going back and watching documentaries, reading articles. Like, I just have a fascination for that. So with Boom, we invited him on the show to debate me on all of the things that he was saying. Because in my mind, I was like, if you're so confident in all the things you're saying, even though we all know they're BS, come debate me on this show, word for word, bar for bar, and we can go back and forth. And everybody knew that if he did that, probably would be career suicide, because I would expose every single thing that he
I wasn't
said.
even gonna say anything on the show. I was just
Yeah.
gonna be like this.
And everybody
Like
was
that
like,
the whole time.
if Lightout's being quiet, watching a debate live, then you got him. But
Yeah.
he would text us and say, yeah, I'll be there. And then 5 minutes before the time he was supposed to come on, he canceled. So we took offense to that, because it's like, it's a podcast. We had already promoted it to everybody. Everybody had been waiting to see it. So, and then he's just kind of been, ducking and dodging like Floyd Mayweather. So we've just been moving forward and just looking to talk basketball with people that actually have a passion for it and don't troll. So we got you.
One of the things that I found out a long time ago, growing up, the people I grew up with and the people that I grew up around, when you talk basketball, you better know what you're talking about.
Yep.
If you don't know what you're talking about, we're going to find out really quick, and you will be destroyed. I'm not saying that it's going to be no, you will get destroyed.
Yeah.
So you better know what you're talking about. So I made it apparent that whenever I talked, I might get my facts screwed up sometimes, because there's some things that I might forget or things like that. But when I'm debating somebody, or if I'm talking basketball with people who know what they're talking about, I better make sure that I know what I'm talking about, because I'm gonna get called on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way basketball debate, any debate works. Basketball in particular. So I'm honored to be here, man. This is awesome.
No, that's great, man. But now let's go talk some basketball. Everybody knows what is the NBA Finals matchup: the Milwaukee Bucks, the Phoenix Suns. I mean, everybody knows where I stand on this. I already know who I want to win. But let's start with ZZ. ZZ, who you got? Why you think they're gonna win? And we'll go from there, and we'll go from OG.
I got the Suns. Quite frankly, I'm looking at this from a perspective of Giannis is not 100%. And by the time he can become 100%, it could possibly be game 3, game 4, something like that. So I'm just looking at it from a perspective of the Suns are the healthier squad. And in finals history, the healthier squad 9 times out of 10 gets it done. Chris Paul is going into this with the mindset of, this is my first finals appearance in my 16-year career. Devin Booker, I told you before in the Lakers series, D-Book did not crack a smile at all in that Los Angeles series. That man was a stone-faced killer from game 1 to game 6. DeAndre Ayton has not been one serious wonder. He has consistently been putting up double-double throughout the entire playoffs, and has not, if he has an off night, he has an off night, but he's been playing at a consistent level that we did not expect from a dude in his second year, especially being a big man in today's league, who he doesn't have a three-point shot, but his post game is tremendous. This man's doing turnaround face-up J's like he's Tim Duncan, or he's going to go for the hook shot. He's getting rebounds at an aggressive rate, like defensive rebounds. I was watching the Suns closeout game. This man was, I remember Chris Paul went up for a rebound one time. Ayton went up, snatched it, said, "Give me that." And then
before the game, Ayton said to Chris Paul, "Don't worry about the rebounds. I got you. Just run." That's what he said, or something. It was something along those lines. So yeah.
So I'm taking the Suns. The Bucks. I like the Bucks, obviously. I hate them right now because you like them, but nonetheless, it's just the fact that you got Giannis, who's not 100%, and what we'll talk about later on in the show is the difference between Giannis and Chris. But Middleton and Drew aren't going to be able to contain D-Book, CP, Ayton at full health, full strength, and alongside guys like Crowder who can get it done without specifically looking at the stat sheet. I don't think it can get it done.
Yeah, I can't get mad at that, although I can say that you're wrong. But OG, I'll let you go next.
Well, this playoff has definitely been a war of attrition. Yeah. Because we've had so many different guys in and out of the lineup. Now, let's not misunderstand what Giannis's injury means. If this was January, he'd be out till the All-Star break. But this is not a situation where, this is a rolled ankle like Trae Young where he could sit out for a week. And no, if this was the regular season, he'd be out a month minimum. So if he comes back, if we're lucky, he's 70%.
Yep,
Now,
that's true.
with him being on the floor, 70% is better than 0. I mean, this is your best rebounder. This is your best defensive player.
Best
This is your
player.
best player in transition. This is your best overall player.
Yep.
So that's better than nothing. Now, that means that my better players have to be better than they already were. So Middleton has to be better than what he was in the Eastern Conference Championship. Drew Holiday has to be better than what he was. PJ Tucker has to be better. Bobby Portis has been huge for these guys in the playoffs. He's been everything that they've been looking for in a dirty work guy. Now, Connaughton is hot and cold, so I'd like to see him be more hot than cold.
Yeah.
Because he gives him a lot better chance because he stretches the D the way he does. He's one of those guys, when he's good, he's really good. But when he's bad, you kind of forget that he's on the floor.
Yeah.
Kind of
like Kyle Kuzma. Yeah.
Now, it's going to come down to, can Drew Holiday neutralize Chris Paul and just slow him down? Because he's the head of their attack, not just in the half court, but in transition. Because Phoenix likes to get up and down the floor. And they like to play wide open, especially when Ayton's off the floor. They go 5 wide. Yeah. They don't have anybody in the post. So if he can have a pickup point earlier just to slow that transition game down and throw them off rhythm offensively, that may help them out tremendously. I think the difference in this series is going to be Andre Ayton. If he plays the way he did, DeAndre Ayton, if he plays the way he did against the Lakers, if he plays in this series like that, I think they mop Milwaukee.
Yeah, no.
They beat Milwaukee. I think they mop them, and he's the finals MVP.
Ooh, hot take. Okay, I like that, OG. I like that, OG. All right. So let me explain to you boys why y'all might be potentially wrong. Now, look, it's simple. Okay, and I don't want to bring injuries into this, but let's be honest. They beat Anthony Davis and LeBron James when Anthony Davis went down in Game 3. I believe that it was Game 3, and then after that, they mopped the floor against the LA Lakers. They beat the Denver Nuggets without no Jamal Murray. Again, they beat the Clippers. They had their little struggles because Chris Paul was coming back from a COVID-19 situation, and he was still getting adjusted. The game ended in 6 games. Now, this is the thing, right? Let's say Giannis comes back, and this is why I have my faith. The reason I have Bucks is not more of why I think. I think it's more of a leaning into the faith part. But let me explain why. Okay, Milwaukee is the only team throughout the whole NBA playoffs for the Phoenix Suns. They're all gonna be there. That they're all gonna be healthy. Besides the Lakers. Now, if Giannis could stay healthy from the beginning to the end of that series, we might potentially have a situation where the Bucks might win. Now, if you look at Anthony Davis in Game 2 and Game 3, that was killing them. I mean, the main reason the Lakers were winning was because of Anthony Davis, and Giannis has that same aggression towards them. I feel like the Phoenix Suns will have a struggle. They'll have struggles against the Milwaukee Bucks. Also, Drew Holiday is a great defender. If he could try to contain either CP3 or Devin Booker, depending on who he's guarding, Chris Middleton is going to make sure he's guarding the other guy if it's not D Book or CP3. It's more of, can we contain these boys? Can Giannis play aggressive? And let's see how Giannis comes back. If I had to give a percentage on why from 100% where I think the Milwaukee Bucks will be in this series, I think they have a 40% chance of winning this series.
So your
really do.
So your logic is Giannis being as healthy as he's going to be gives you guys the best shot. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, obviously we need Giannis on the floor to win that series. Yeah. But and again, this is the same logic I had for the Lakers. Okay, and we all know how that turned out. And but like the thing is, if Giannis comes to the floor, right, and he plays aggressive, aggressive enough that he drives in like he used to. I don't want Giannis to do this. Let me dribble down the ball from when we score. Let me dribble down. No, I need Giannis to be on the post the whole time. I need minimum, like I need him to have the minimum chance of getting injured. All right. So if he could have that like mindset of I need to attack these guys, I think we have a chance and play aggressive.
Well, now you asking Giannis to switch up his entire style. First and foremost, Giannis's game is predicated on athleticism and flight.
Yes.
And he's the best in
At
transition,
it.
right? He's the best in transition. Now we're talking about a guy who's hobbled. So now that minimizes his transition game. So now what does he have to do? You asking him to go to the post, which is a place where he hasn't played most of the season, and you
That's
asking him
true.
to go down there and be the most effective. Well, good luck with that.
No, that is
Good
good
luck
luck.
with
No,
that, my man.
no, because but this is the thing, right? What I'm trying to say is that if Giannis could play aggressive enough, like I'm not, and we all know that Giannis is not going to be 100%. So that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
Enough,
That's correct.
enough. Yeah, the key
That's
word enough. If he could play enough of that aggression that we all know he has, all right. The Milwaukee Bucks have a chance of winning this series. And that's why I have them winning the series, but they have a chance. If we're being realistic, the Phoenix Suns are the favorite to win it all this year.
Well,
They're
here's
the,
my thing with that. When you're talking about Giannis and his, like OG said, he has to switch up his entire game. Now, the last time I saw a player in these playoffs switch up their entire game was probably James Harden. And then before that, it was Chris Paul. But Chris Paul had a shoulder injury.
Yep.
And you saw with his shoulder injury throughout that Lakers series, this man couldn't even shoot. Like, he wasn't even shooting. He was heaving. He was heaving up shots. But
It was
granted,
bad.
he's a point guard. So, like we talked about before the show light out, he's probably the biggest traditional point guard out of elite point guards in today's
Right
game.
now, yeah.
That's Chris Paul. So he had a plan B. Okay, I don't have to be that aggressive in terms of trying to score. I can distribute the ball. But he's done that for like 16 years. So he's perfectly fine with that. For someone like Harden, who went from the Rockets to Brooklyn Nets, and he became, we talked about a few weeks ago, he was their most important piece because he's their distributor. So he still was trying to shoot. He shot 5 for 17 in Game 7 for some reason, but he was still trying, and you could tell he just wasn't. I mean, he couldn't do anything. So for a guy like Giannis, whose role isn't distributor, it's scorer, rebounder, everything pretty much, besides passing maybe. For a guy like Giannis to change up his entire game, which is predicated on, okay, I'm going to get isolated, I'm going to pretend to drive in, and then backpedal, and then pretend to drive in, and then backpedal. And then on that third one, I'm going to drive all the way in, put my head down, and go in. And I'm not Ben Simmons, so I'm not afraid of the contact. And if I get it, I'll try and at least get the and one so that I have one free throw. So he has this mind game that's predicated on athleticism and flight. When you have a hyperextended leg, you kind of can't jump. I mean, he's going to, like, if Giannis breaks out, if he goes Kobe MJ mode and starts hitting fadeaway jumpers,
that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen.
But that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, no.
Like
I just think that the best chance of the Bucks winning is if Giannis plays aggressive. Also, we gotta pray to God that Chris Middleton, it's not this, I'm going to play good this game, and then I'm going to play all right the next game, then play good the other game. We got to hope that Drew Holiday, the thing with Drew Holiday, I really love Drew Holiday. I really do. I love watching him play, his defensive style. But the thing with Drew Holiday is that he'll start off cold and then he'll hit like the clutch shots at the end. He needs to play consistent in this series. He needs to start off great and finish the game great. Like, that's what Drew Holiday needs to do.
Well, you got to also remember, too, that the way Milwaukee plays is now the way Drew plays.
Yep.
They shoot a lot of long balls. Now, Drew Holiday has now been sucked into that. That hasn't been his game in the past. But that's the way they play. And it's interesting, ZZ, you talked about James Harden. There were stretches when I forgot he was on the floor. and that, as bad as that sounds, because there were stretches when I forgot he was out there.
Yep, that is true.
That he was because he was hobbled, and because he couldn't do what he because he couldn't do what he normally does. And I never thought that I would say anything like that, but there were stretches where I forgot he was out there. I was like, wait a minute, we went 3 or 4 trips, and James, that's why I forgot he was out there.
Just sitting somewhere in the corner.
Yes, he was just there. But as far as Drew Holiday and Middleton, understand that when you get to the playoffs, the first team you're playing is good. Mm-hmm. We're in the playoffs. You get past them. I got to raise my level of play because we're playing against a better team. And as the playoffs advance, the teams get better, which means my game has to improve. Now, mind you, Middleton went for 23 in the third quarter against Atlanta. I think he had 4 points in the fourth, so he
Yeah.
might have emptied it in the third.
Yeah.
And they were able to hold on because I was getting a little nervous.
Trust me, I was getting really nervous.
They were able to hold on.
Yeah.
They were able to hold on. He had 2 points in the second quarter of that game. The meat and potatoes of his production was in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And now, when you're playing against a heady team like Phoenix, where Chris Paul is going to be the head of that attack, and they're going to be throwing different types of defenses at you, different types of defenses at you, I have to make sure that I get to my spots, and I can't have cold spells where we go 4 or 5 minutes where I don't score, because that could be the difference in us being down 4 and being down 14. And Milwaukee's not the kind of team that can fall 12, 14 in a hole constantly and dig themselves out.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. No, that's 100% true. Again, I still have the Milwaukee Bucks though, and the thing in another thing, I gotta look at Devin Booker. Now, ever since his nose got broken, I don't know. It's just, I guess his game, like before his injury with Patrick Beverly hit him in the face or whatever. He was that cold stone, like he was killing. It doesn't matter who it was, he was killing. After that, he played with the mask, played a horrible game. People said he was the next Kobe. That I would like to stop for now. I don't think D-Book is the next Kobe. Let D-Book be the next D-Book. We got to stop doing this notion that everyone is the next all-time great. I feel like everybody should just be their own player. That's my take on that. But the thing with D-Book, I mean, I'm not saying that he's not going to show up. That's not what I'm saying at all. He is going to show up. He's going to be there. But the same level that we saw him in the first and second round, I don't expect that same D-Book. That's another reason why I do believe the Milwaukee Bucks still have a chance of winning this series.
But what about the CP you saw?
What about CP? Wait, y'all both said something at the same time. OG, what you said?
Go ahead,
what about the CP you saw in Game 6 against
that 41 points? Yeah, no, that was ridiculous. And I don't expect CP to drop 41 again.
You don't expect? Let me tell you something. Here's the thing. Chris Paul showed me something in that closeout game. And you just brought up the point of D-Book not playing the same after that face mask, right? So with Chris Paul, he is a veteran. He's a legend. So when you are a veteran and you are amongst elite company in terms of the play, and then you're in the playoffs out of all places, if you're a young guy who is your best scorer on your team, if he's not showing up, Chris Paul said, well, I still got a mid-range. The 3 points looking good. So it's okay. I got this. It's kind of like how Kobe and Shaq in the early 2000s when Shaq went down in that when Shaq fouled out, and Kobe patted him on the shoulder and said, I got this. That's a young guy going. That's like the equivalent of Chris Middleton going up to Giannis and saying, I got it. Okay, you're the best player, but let me finish this. You can't finish like me. So Chris Paul was like, okay, I've been here before. I know that my ticket to the NBA Finals is on the line right here in my former home, in front of my former fans, in the biggest moment. Everybody's watching this game. Everybody wants to see me here. And you can't show up like you have been because of the injury or whatever. Aiden's just there doing his thing consistently, but he ain't dropping 40, but he's doing his thing. So Chris Paul said, okay, I got this. So I'm thinking in my head after watching that, going into the finals, Chris Paul's probably going to want to, especially not only win a championship, but I think he's going to be going for that Finals MVP.
No, for sure. That's the only thing I disagree with OG. I don't think Ayton would be the Finals MVP, although he has the potential to win it. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I feel like Chris Paul is gonna try his best to win this Finals MVP.
Chris Paul, and I also think Chris Paul he isn't going to want to get the Finals MVP because of the narrative that the Finals MVP can sometimes go off of, which is...
Well, let me ask you this, Zizi. You expect that kind of performance out of Chris Paul again? Or how many of those do you expect out of him again?
If depends. If they go for if they win in 5, I expect the closeout game for Chris Paul to have that time.
Let's say it goes 6.
If it goes 6, I'm definitely expecting another one from Chris Paul because look at the closeout game against the Nuggets.
Yeah.
What was it? I think
37.
37?
Yeah.
Nobody expected that. The closeout game against OKC. Everybody's like, okay, Paul George just dropped one in Game 5. I'm pretty sure he can do it again. Chris Paul said, no. I got this. This is my moment. So I don't see why he can't go for it a third time, and especially when he knows a closeout game would probably cement his Finals MVP case right there off a closeout game.
I think it's realistic to see him do that in a closeout game. What I can't expect is I can't expect to play at that level the entire series. I mean, if I saw that, then forget about it. But I can't expect to see him in. I mean, let's be clear. If Chris Paul played like that the entire series, Milwaukee wins 0 games.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
They mopped the floor with him. If he played like that the entire series, absolutely not. So, with that being said, I think that if he can play like that in a closeout game, if they get themselves up in the series, yeah, I can absolutely see that happening. No question.
Hey, OJ, I got a question. Who needs the ring more, though? Chris Paul or Giannis? Who do you think needs it more?
More than anything, because Chris Paul, we're on the back nine here. How many more years do you think Chris Paul got left? I give him, at this level, I give him 1, maybe 2 more years left.
Yeah, give him 2 more years. Yeah.
And I think this is his best opportunity to win it. Just like I thought that it was Giannis's best opportunity to win it, because he's not going to see a road like this again where Brooklyn was beat up the way they were, where Atlanta and Trae Young went down like he did, where this Phoenix team that's healthy is evenly matched with him. Like if they're going against a healthy Laker team, if they're going against a healthy Clipper team, I don't know if we're having this conversation.
Yeah, we would.
But to answer your question, Chris Paul has had so many failures in the playoffs. And to get here in this particular situation, he has to be able to get it done. Because the narrative on him are the failures in the playoffs in the past. See, Giannis, what are we in, year 7? So
yeah, he's 26 years old, I believe.
Yeah, so he may very well have some more time. Chris Paul is on the back nine, and he's definitely running out of time.
For sure, I think it goes for both players. I really do think it goes for both players. Who needs it more? Chris Paul for sure. Can you make a case for Giannis? Of course, because the same thing you're saying for Chris Paul, saying that this is the best opportunity for him. I also believe this is the best opportunity for Giannis, because especially in Milwaukee, because I do expect Giannis to not make the NBA Finals next year if the Brooklyn Nets are healthy. If they're healthy, forget about it. The Brooklyn Nets will make the NBA Finals next year. But that's why I'm saying it could go for both players. But I agree with you. Who needs it more right now in this specific moment in time? Chris Paul, 100%.
You guys would kill me, but I'm not sold on Brooklyn. And the reason why I'm not sold on Brooklyn is because let me tell you what the one thing that these guys do.
Okay.
They show us who they are. And they show us who they are early. It's not like they just show us who they are in the playoffs. They show us who they are early. We know who Kevin Durant is. Yeah. Because we've seen Kevin Durant, not just in Game 7, not just in Game 6. We've seen Kevin Durant over the years in series. We know who Kyrie Irving is. We know who James Harden is too. Yep. And we know what he's done when the playoffs advance. How he either breaks down physically or his game doesn't translate later on. We know who that guy is. So I've seen James Harden play lights out during the regular season, even early in the playoffs. I've seen him run out of gas plenty of times in the playoffs. And I'm not sold on Brooklyn just yet because I know who James Harden is.
So the reason you're not sold on Brooklyn is because of James Harden specifically, or is it?
He's the engine that makes them go.
Yep, I agree.
He's their primary distributor. He's their playmaker. That's 22. I think he was 23 a game and something like that when he was on the floor. And they were well over 500 when he was playing. So with that being said, he's the engine that makes them go. Now he's their primary ball handler, and Irv made it clear that you're going to play the point guard. Well, he did play the point guard, and he broke down.
Well, I think I've seen stuff like in like recent weeks, some before the Nets got eliminated. I saw some post on Twitter. It was like, okay, well, if James Harden does this and goes all the way to the finals, will we finally be able to say that he is better than Steph Curry? And I'm like, see, this is where we have a problem because y'all keep on thinking, because y'all listen to people like Max Kellerman, y'all think that Steph Curry, like Max Kellerman has put into some of these people's minds who are mindless sheep, that Steph Curry is in any way, shape, or form on the same level as James Harden in the playoffs when he's 110% not. Like, I was like, James Harden, some of James Harden's best shots of getting to the finals, he's lost to Steph. Not just Steph and KD.
Multiple
2019, going into Game 6, they said, Steph doesn't have KD. KD is the thing the Warriors need to get to the finals, which is so not true at all. And Steph showed that by Harden had Steph with 0 points in the first half. And then he dropped 33 in the second half with like 3 straight back-to-back dagger threes where like 2 of them could have been 4-point plays. I'm like, Steph lives for those moments where you just look at him and say, you can't do this, you can't do this, and then he goes and does it. James Harden, on the other hand, has had so many moments that have been in his favor going into games where analysts are like, it's all on that James Harden has to win this one. This is all, and then some analysts like Max Kellerman choose to ignore what OG just said, what the bigger picture is. Yeah. So, like, I know exactly what he means. I said it before. James Harden, the best bet for him to win a championship is on a unit like the Nets, because if they lose and he's the third option and is playing like the distributor third option, the loss doesn't really fall on him that much because he can just go a whole game passes. I've seen games where James Harden has scored 5 points on like 2 shots, but with like 16 assists this season. So like and they've won, and it's like, okay, you can contribute that to Harden. But I see what you mean. I think the Nets, from what I've seen with them playing together and like finally getting it going, I think that Milwaukee's best shot, like Lightout said, is now. Because if KD comes back with somebody that's healthy on as his second option, whether it be Kyrie or James Harden.
Jeezy, don't stop with him going up against Steph in Game 6 where Steph has 0 points. Don't leave out Game 7 where they go 0 for 27 and he goes 0 for 11 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. No, OG,
that's like Giannis missing every layup.
Yeah,
that was your game.
OG, I gotta ask you this, man. You had when this man said Max Kellerman, you had like a smile, like, man, like I don't know, man. Can you tell me can you tell me who are your favorite analysts right now? And then can you, I don't know, tell me who's the ones that you just dislike the most? Is that a thing you do?
I don't dislike any of them. I
okay.
Like somebody more than the other. Like, I think Jalen Rose is phenomenal.
Okay.
I think Jalen Rose is incredible. I think that there aren't many people on television that know what they're talking about more than Jalen Rose. No. I think Steve Smith is really good. He breaks down the game. There are a number of different guys that I'm thinking about off the top of my head. NBA guys that are really good. Chris Webber is really good. Grant Hill is really good.
And they don't get airtime.
Those are guys that I can. Now, when we talk about guys like Max Kellerman, I mean, I like Max.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes I think a lot of times Max says things that are controversial, and he'll say things for shock value.
Yeah.
And I don't think he really. I heard Max say one time that track athletes aren't real athletes, and I was like, he doesn't really believe that. There's no way you believe that.
Yo, no, that's disrespectful, man. That is disrespectful.
There's no way you believe that track. There's no way that I can believe that a respected sports journalist or sports analyst believes that a human being that can run the length of a football field in under 10 seconds is not a real athlete. There's no way you believe that.
Well, he also said Trae Young's ceiling was higher than Steph's a couple weeks ago. So,
see,
you know.
And I said averaged 25 and 9.
I was watching it live, and I see Stephen A. and I swear to God, the same reaction, which was like,
yeah,
I didn't really say that. You didn't really say that, did you?
He was like, and then Max went back to the 20. He always refers to 2016 to the finals in 2016, but Stephen A. looked at him in the face and was like, he was hurt in 2016, and then Max was like, he had this like blank look. It's always the look he has when Stephen A. gets him, and he's just
yeah.
And then Stephen A. was like, you said he was hurt. 4 years ago. You were the one that said it, and I agreed with you. So then I was like, oh, so Max is a hypocrite. And then Max is like, well, it doesn't change the fact that they had the behind the back pass and one possession. Like he always says, well, Steph didn't show up in the fourth quarter. But then when he's talking about Cleveland, he's like, well, Cleveland only beat them by one possession. I'm like, which one are you going for here? Like, what are you trying to say?
You have it
Steph
both
was
ways.
hurt.
Which one is? Can't have
I'm
it both
like,
ways.
bro, you can't have them both. Like, that's just genuinely how I feel.
Yeah.
OG, who do you think? Like, we don't like talking about greatest of all time, but I've never been clear on who do you think is the greatest ever. And I would like the answer. I mean, who do you think is the greatest basketball player to ever live?
LeBron James is the most complete basketball player that I've ever seen. Jordan is a complete basketball player.
No,
Him coming out of college, he had the fanfare. He was Naismith Basketball Player of the Year. And when he got to the Bulls, there wasn't a lot of fanfare about Jordan because the Bulls were trash and it was a big man era. And if he didn't do anything, there wasn't anything expected from him early because the Bulls were trash. He actually becomes that over the course of time with the maturation of his game, where he is now a defender, which I wasn't surprised at him being a defender because he was that at North Carolina, because that's what they taught them. I was surprised at the scorer that he became because I didn't see that. I saw the athleticism, but I didn't see the scoring until he got to the league. I was surprised in the maturation of his game offensively. But defensively, I wasn't surprised. And then we get to probably the 91-92 season where, in my opinion, that's the best version of Jordan. That was the guy who, I got this thing figured out. These are my troops. The rest of you guys, this is where the line is because you guys got nothing for us.
Yep.
That was the best version of Jordan that I saw. James, on the other hand, not only did he come out of high school, going into the NBA with men, I have never seen an athlete have more fanfare, more pressure, and more hype than he had. And for him to actually live up to that.
Yep.
For him to become everything that everybody said that he wouldn't. Everybody said that he'd fall on his face. And not only that, to do it in Cleveland, where I'm from, by the way, right? I'm not from Cleveland, but James, on the other hand, I live right down the block from where this team plays. So that's another added pressure. And for him to do that, for that team to treat him the way they did for those 7 years where they were putting ragtag crews around him. Jordan
Dan Gilbert,
stability.
man. Yep.
Jordan had stability in Chicago. Well, what do you mean he had stability? He had Paxson for 8 years. He had Ho Grant and Scottie Pippen for 6 years. He had Bill Cartwright for 5 years. He had B.J. Armstrong for 4 years. So when you building a unit around somebody, there's a level of stability and confidence that you have in that organization. The only constant that James had was Ilgauskas. Everybody else, it was like a revolving door.
Yeah.
Everybody else, and they were throwing ragtag crews together and telling James, go figure it out. And he was doing that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was in the finals, I believe, in 2007 with that team. Yeah. So, I mean.
And everybody got upset with him for going to Miami when all he did was level the playing field.
Yeah.
Because at that time, so Jordan, for example, and I'm not going to take up a lot of your time, but Jordan, for example, he had an organization that was building a unit around him. And they were serious. And they were stable. James had, and Jordan had to rely on Jerry Krause to do that. James had to rely on the Cleveland Cavaliers to get a unit around him for him to compete for what you guys have said makes him great. You got to win. So I got to depend on these guys to help me get that. I got to depend on what you give me as an organization to do that. Well, they weren't doing that. And James decided that he was going to take his career into his own hands because you said that in order for me to be great, I got to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do that somewhere else. So all he did was level the playing field. And not only did he level the playing field, he went to Miami and became that guy. He could have went to Miami and it was, but it wasn't.
That's what they thought it was. Yeah, they thought it was going to be like that in 2000 after the Mavericks won, which me and Lightout said was the turning point for James's career was that Miami Mavs series because like you go there, you get back to the finals, you have the better team, you are the best player, and then you crumble. So
Yep.
the media pressure is just like, he's never gonna be. And then I said once he adapted that villain role, which is essentially very important in basketball. People don't really talk about how people if people hate you because they know you're so good, it's the best feeling in the world.
It
Like
is.
I was like,
Yeah.
I would kill to be LeBron in 2000, right after the 2011 finals. I would kill to be Kevin Durant with the Warriors, or Steph with the Warriors with Kevin Durant. I would kill Trae Young in the playoffs, because everybody hates you because they want to see you fall. But they're not going to see
2011
you
is the
fall.
best thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah,
2011,
and I was like, LeBron went on to win back-to-back championships the year after that. And then they hate him because of now we hate you because of how you won the championships.
MVPs too, CZ. Don't leave that out. MVPs, not just back-to-back championships.
And the MVP and back-to-back MVPs, the finals MVPs. Now we're gonna sit back and say, well,
all defensive players of the all defensive teams.
Yeah, the all defensive teams. One almost the defensive player of the year. 2 in 2013. So then we're sitting here like, okay, well, we said you couldn't do it after the 2011 series. We laughed because you lost in such convincing fashion. And so then we're just going to keep on saying, haha, you're never going to be as good as this person. And now you're undisputedly the best player in basketball over the next course. Now you're undisputed the best player in basketball. So now we're going to look at it as, okay, now I feel like after you win a couple titles, the media pressure kind of dies down. But then from the media pressure is where fans come in and the haters come in. And now we're in the social media era where LeBron is still the most hated player in basketball. Like that, I think they did a poll on that.
OG said it like perfectly. I mean, there is no player in NBA history that had the amount of pressure as LeBron James, had all this hatred from different types, from the media, from the fans, and then come out and do what he does. Like, it's the stuff that LeBron James does that you gotta respect. And I mean, he's still, and it's crazy how LeBron is no longer in the playoffs and somehow he's still getting heat. Like it's like I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
LeBron went to a freaking WNBA game, and then he got heat for just being there because I'm like, bro, is he not one of the most famous basketball? Is he not like what? And I'm like, for me, we've talked about the GOAT debate a million times, and I hate talking about it now specifically. The only time I talk about it, actually, I try to really stay away from it now. But we've talked about it, and I've just been like, for me now, watching as LeBron is in his 18th year, 36 years old, I feel like we should get to a point in time, hopefully, where we look at GOATs of their era. Because now, I'm like, it's either MJ or LeBron, and I don't care what order you have them in. But I don't want to do this 1A, 1B. I feel like those two are the only ones at the table, besides possibly Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, depending on how you want to go. But I just like.
Well, I'll tell you what, too, Yeezy. I'll tell you what. Also, don't leave out, which is very important. Don't leave out the thumbs up he got from Dwayne Wade after the 2011 finals, where Wade told him, if we're going to do this, you got to be the guy.
Yep.
Now, in order for me, because I'm just coming, this has already been your house. And I'm basically moving into your house. And you're telling me that, yo, stop tiptoeing around here. You live here now. You have to take over and be the guy. And for him to know that, and for him to actually do it, I don't know any, in all of my years of watching sports, I don't, on any level, high school, college, or pro, I don't know anybody who has had that amount of pressure or who could have had that amount of pressure and held up. And he was the one who actually did it.
Yep.
It's amazing. So in my opinion, he's the most complete basketball player that I've ever seen in my life.
And it's true. And I think that's like the best way to wrap out LeBron. And final question. This is gonna be an easy one, but we talked about it before the show. Can OG just end it for us? Who's the best player in Milwaukee, Chris Middleton or Giannis?
Well, when you have a unit, right?
Yeah.
Let's not sugarcoat this. When you have a unit, you need a unit.
Yep.
You need these guys to perform at every level. Taking Giannis off the floor, that's 30 and 14, that's out the lineup.
Yep.
I don't care how good Middleton is. I don't care how good Drew Holiday is. I don't care how good Portis is, PJ Tucker. I don't care how good any of those guys is. Whatever team you play for, if you take 30 and 14 out the lineup, you're not nearly as good.
Mm-mm.
Even if you took 19 a game off the floor, I still got 30 and 14 on the floor.
Yep.
And we can manage. I still got arguably the best defensive player in the game. So we can manage.
Yep.
Now, Middleton will have stretches where he'll go off. And we'll become prisoners of the moment. It's probably the best way I can put it. We'll become prisoners of the moment. I've heard
Kendrick Perkins.
But ultimately, let's call it what it is. Giannis is the best player on that team.
Yeah, he is 100%, and I don't disagree. I feel like I think Kendrick Perkins started it, like ZZ said, of like he said that Giannis is the Robin and Chris Middleton is the Batman. That's what he said. Yeah, and after that, I guess everybody just took that and ran with it because everybody just started saying Chris Middleton is the best player in Milwaukee. I found it crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that Perk understands what that actually means, like what that analogy is, because essentially, me being a Batman fan, Batman did all of the dirty work. Robin was there to pick up the slack for, I guess, what Batman couldn't pay attention to. So essentially, when you have Giannis and Chris, Giannis is giving you 30 and 11. So Giannis is doing all of the sounding and the deep and all that stuff between the two of them. Throughout certain stretches of it, now Chris can go and get these couple pull-up mid-range jumpers to keep us ahead, right? Or if we're already ahead, I don't really have to defer to Chris as much because I can just keep us ahead. Now, if we need a couple of buckets, I'm going to go here because I'm focused on this and this and this, right? And even the simplest things is Giannis getting fouled. Like I think in one of the games of series against the Hawks, they fouled Giannis at the end of the game, and he hit both of the free throws. And that's not what they thought was going to happen, but he did that. So
and the media stayed quiet about that. They just ignored that.
Yeah, I know I saw that. I know I'm not lying. I'm like, I was genuinely like, I wasn't even nervous when he was going to the line because I was like, he doesn't even look nervous. Like he looks like he's gonna.
He never does. He just takes a long time. That's the only problem with Giannis in the free throw line. That's it. He takes a long time, and that's it. This is called
it's either the free throw violation or an air ball. But he's not like bricking the three. He's not like bricking the free throws. They're like
now. I do disagree with that. That he is in his head though when it comes to free throws. What Giannis reminds me of as if you ever seen the movie The Matrix where Morpheus and Neo are having a fight, and while they're going at it, Morpheus says to Neo, "Stop trying to hit me and just hit me."
Yeah.
Giannis goes to the free throw line. It looks like he's trying to shoot free throws instead of just shooting. My man, turn your brain off. Shoot the ball. Nobody's bothering you. Nobody's got a hand in your face. It's just you and the rim. Now, I can appreciate, it's not that simple. Actually, in this particular situation, it is. All you got to do is shoot the ball, my man. It's not a lot of extracurricular nonsense.
And it's routine.
In particular.
Yeah, it's like, and with
free
like
throw routine is ridiculous.
Ben Simmons looks like he knows, like he already is envisioning the Twitter comments in his head. So he's like, F it, I'm just gonna throw it up there. Like I don't care.
No.
Well, he's the epitome of somebody who it's all in his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of it. It's not.
He lost all confidence. If I was
when I saw him give that ball, when I saw him get a ball to Harris on the baseline instead of punching it, I was like, he does not want to be out here.
Yeah. No,
he does not want to be on the floor.
That was a clear indication to sit him out. That's it, Ben. Sit down. Sit down.
Is there any way that I can get out of this? That's what he reminded me of when I saw that. It just looked like a guy who was telling me, what can I do to get out of this? Because I don't want to be out here.
Oh, man. All right, OG, this guy has been trying to ask you this question this whole stream, and I feel bad. I mean, this is how I'm going to wrap out the show, okay? He's been asking this question the whole day. So this is to you, OG. Yo, could KD be a top 3 player of all time if he gets more rings because him and MJ are the best scorers of all time?
Well, the problem with that, because I got that same question with KD or Kobe. Well, the reason why I had Kobe Bryant better than KD is for one reason and one reason only. Kobe Bryant was elite on both sides of the basketball. Kobe Bryant wasn't good. He was elite on both sides of the basketball. I can appreciate you being an elite scorer. There's a difference between being an elite scorer and being an elite overall player. Kevin Durant is an elite scorer. Now, if he were to get more rings, that would just elevate the myth of him being on good teams. That's all it would really do for me, because in the end, he's never been an elite defender ever. He's never been a great rebounder, especially at that size. Has he been an elite scorer? Absolutely. There's anybody to question that, they don't know anything about basketball. He's always been an elite scorer. But for him to play on the, I can't compare him to Jordan. I can't compare him to Kobe Bryant and guys like that, because he only plays on one side of the ball. He plays defense, but not nearly as elite as those guys.
Yeah, no, that's true, and that's the best way to wrap it up. Yep, and I agree. I mean, I love KD. Actually, I have a really like love-hate relationship with KD, but you know, you cannot ignore his offensive arsenal. I mean, he's just a bucket. That's the best way to put it. Anyways, guys, OG, thank you for being on the show, man. Really appreciate you, man, for taking time out and just being on the show. Guys, make sure, OG, where can we find you on all social media platforms? Just TikTok?
Just on TikTok, man. Just on
TikTok.
I got a YouTube channel, Chilltown Hoops. Come to Chilltown Hoops. Check it out.
Hey, man.
Subscribe and check me out when I'm live.
All right, bet, man. You already know where to find him, guys. Hey, y'all, thank you for being on the live, guy. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next one.